I was chatting to a friend recently about how I've never handled a Bell & Ross watch. And then, lo and behold, another friend asked me if I wanted to borrow one, and not just any model, but the BR03 Garo Compass. In many ways, this model epitomizes the brand to me, since you could argue that the brand's shtick is flight instrument designs. And how does it get more flight instrumenty than this, which looks like it's been ripped off a cockpit and slapped on some rubber? The design here mirrors the mechanical design of the aeronautical gyro compass. For pilots, it's obviously crucial to know their precise position, and as such, engineers developed this visually simple yet technically complex system in the cockpit, with a mechanism that transfers the position of a plane in flight into a vertical graphic representation on the dial. I've always been curious as to how this square design would wear on a watch and not screwed into a steel panel. And to be honest, I've always felt that Bell & Ross painted themselves into a fairly gimmicky corner with the all square and all instrument feel. If you compare the Zin, for instance, which often talk about the same inspirations in their marketing material and origin, there's more flexibility there and more of an attitude of how do we adapt the legibility flight instruments to a round watch. Bell & Ross do of course have round watches too, but the square ones is what they're renowned for better and for worse. If you've been wondering like me with this model if you can actually tell the time on this thing, then this video is for you. So let's get stuck into some thrust vectoring and discuss the maneuverability of this BR03. The first thing you notice is that the square up closer is actually quite rounded, and despite the notch strap that has to fit 32mm lugs, it's actually quite wearable, but that's a term that's highly relative, of course. The diameter is 41mm, and whilst it's also 41mm north to south, there are lugs, and the lug-to-lug measurement is just a hair over 50mm. Lug width is 24mm and are measured at 10.8mm thick, including the flat crystal. It's water resistant to 100 meters and the weight is 133 grams. Before we get into close-ups, how do you actually tell the time, one might rather justifiably ask oneself. Setting the time makes it obvious, I guess, so let's do just that. As you can see, the plane moves slowly into place and the nose cone points towards the hour and minute hand, tipped with a white triangle that points to the minute. I can honestly say that this is one watch that you could choose to wear just like jewelry, since nobody will notice this on your wrist and call out that the time is wrong. With a bit of training and more than a casual glance of your wrist, and you'll be able to use it to tell the time eventually. Handy in a wristwatch. Getting it a bit closer to this dial is a good way to check the quality of the print, and it's all very good. The logo holds up to extreme close-ups, and so does the compass markers and the hands, which in this case clearly includes a large plane and of course the minute hand. The full width second hand that slowly glides around your dial is a nice effect too, and I think it suits the watch perfectly with its clean implementation. I can't help though but think that without it, it would be easier to tell the time. And if I was a watch designer, which I am clearly not, I would find a way to have a super minimalistic seconds hand under a sandwich dial, almost like a little worm that grates the outside of the inner dial. But that's just unsolicited advice to Bell & Ross that they should rightfully dismiss. Just before I dismount my high horse of design advice, if there was one watch design where I could for once argue that a date complication was unnecessary and disruptive, it would be this one. But each to their own, of course. At least it's color matched, and I guess kind of ironically, well hidden at the 430 mark. The fixed bezel holds a flat sapphire crystal in place with reasonable AR coating. I say reasonable since I would expect a few more layers to be honest, but it's good enough. This badass case is all matte black ceramic, and it is an absolute joy to feel and appreciate, seriously. This is one area where I can appreciate the price of $4,500 since it is a very luxurious feel. The trademark flat screws in each corner definitely shouts flight instrument, but since it's all black here, I don't mind it and it looks rather good. The manual specifies that you must never unscrew these, or you'll compromise the water resistance, so they are not just for show. There's not a single sharp edge anywhere, it's all silky smooth. The crown is push-pull and signed, and whilst it feels to me like a millimetre or two too small perhaps, it is extremely easy to grip, so really no complaints here. Flipping the watch over, we get a neat set of specs and brand name, again in all matte black, and the numbered edition specified with this model with only 999 made. Within beats the BR-CAL 302 automatic movement, which from what I can work out is based on the Sellita SW300-1. However, Bell & Ross appears to be using the optimization barrel that Sellita began offering in late 2020, which takes the power reserve up to around 56 hours according to Caliber Corner, the excellent resource for these things. B&R states 54 hours in their manual. Moving on to the strap, it is described as black rubber and ultra-resilient black synthetic fabric. It does indeed feel like rubber with a twist, and it's a very luxurious feeling strap. The big chunky buckle is signed, and we also get a logo on the inside of the strap and the tip. It's obviously quite the beast, but I can't really see how else you would do this, and it's appropriate for the watch. The loom is really fun. There are 3 different types and colours, and particularly the compass markers I can attest to lasting all night. I've come away with an appreciation for Bell & Ross. I've never been interested and dismissed the brand completely, but as per usual, there's more to a watch than just the looks. The feel and the details on offer has won me over, and if you're a plain enthusiast or an appreciator of the beautiful and classic designs of flight instruments, I can definitely see how you would want to add this to your collection. We can argue about the legibility and slightly crowded design, but have you seen an actual cockpit? It is a visual assault on the senses, and Lord only knows how pilots make sense of it all. So if they can safely transport us to our destination, then I think we can at least make a small effort to learn how to tell the time on just the one dial. And yes, perhaps even read the date, if we must. What do you think of this one? I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.